and Wade as their starting backcourt, and Butler at the small forward for the Bulls. It's going to be interesting. Deron Williams re-signs with the Mavericks. Derek Williams goes to Miami. Marvin Williams stays with Charlotte. Mo Williams stays in Cleveland. All these Williams guys, these Louise. But anyway, there's your NBA free agent looker. Your other NBA topic is Tim Duncan making his retirement now official. One of the greatest of all time. He is the greatest of all time, depending on what specific word you use. However, make no mistake, as I will share with you the same thoughts I shared with Dan Barrero of K-Fan on his hit Bumper to Bumper show a few weeks ago. While Tim Duncan is a greatest of all time, if you are using the term power forward, you cannot say that Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time, because he was not a power forward. Tim Duncan was a center. Okay, just because they called him a power forward, because they ran a two-center scheme, and for some reason you can't call them both centers, that does not mean he was a power forward. If you want to talk about the greatest post players of all time, yes, you could say Tim Duncan's the greatest post player of all time. But power forward, you can't use that term with him because he's not really a true power forward. But nonetheless, an absolute all-time great, class act, amazing talent. And this was the right time, in my opinion, for him to exit as well. And thank you, Tim Duncan, for just, all the quality basketball and the fundamentals and just, everything that you contributed to your sport over your 19-year Hall of Fame career. All right, so going from balls dribble to an extremely quick balls on ice, we'll talk just a tiny bit of hockey. The big offseason move for my and possibly your Minnesota Wild was the signing of forward Eric Staal. Some fans are okay with this, however, the majority are not okay with this. I am in the majority. But the majority is split as to why we're not okay with this. A lot of people in the majority aren't okay with this simply because they thought there was a better guy out there, at the same position basically, that we could have got that would have been more productive, and that was Backes. In my opinion, I'm on the other half of the majority that views Backes as just a more expensive version of Staal with slightly higher potential. But nonetheless, the exact same repeated offseason mistake that our franchise continues to make over and over and over and over every year, it seems like, is bringing in these just freshly washed up past their prime veterans that still demand an extremely large amount of money but do not contribute a large amount of production to any extent. And that is where I have the problem with my issue with the Staal signing, is it is just more of the same, yet we're expecting different results. And that's, from what I've been told, that's the definition of insanity. And maybe that is a word that describes the Wild front office here. Again, no way to know until they put it on the ice. With the new coaching additions, not just the head coach, Bruce Boudreau, but also the defenseman coach, Scott Stevens, it is very possible that there will be talent that gets maximized this year that we have not seen the likes of on this team in quite some time. Whether that results in playoff victories or not will remain to be seen, and ultimately, to me, here in the state of hockey, that is all that really matters, because that's why we got rid of the last several guys, is because they didn't make it far enough in the playoffs. It wasn't just about having a competitive playoff team, throughout the regular season. It was about actually making noise in the playoffs and contending for the cup. And we don't have that track record with our new head coach or with most of the players on the team. But that's not to say it can't be done. We will just have to wait and see, and we're hopeful. But I guess just overall, it's hard to, be overly excited about anything that the Wild have done to, air quotes, improve during this current NHL offseason. All right, that's it for hockey talk this week. I told you it was going to be a quickie. All right, so keeping it quickie style, we're actually going to jump to soccer. That's right, we do have one piece of soccer news as the UEFA Euro 2016 final took place here just the other day. And for the first time ever, Portugal won a major tournament by beating France 1-0 and claiming the 2016 UEFA Euro Championship. So congratulations to Portugal, as well as fans of the Portugal soccer team, or just soccer in general. I don't know, I don't really follow a whole lot of world soccer. I'll watch it in Olympics or World Cup time or stuff like that. But outside of that, just being honest, can't really say I watch a whole lot of it or follow it that much. But hey, it's a championship and it's sports, so I got to acknowledge it here on the show. Somebody might give a hoot. Now let's jump from soccer to the world of tennis, where, as I mentioned, the biggest of the majors in the tennis world was concluded here over the weekend. The men's champion in the finals was Andy Murray over Raonic. Where the heck did Joker drop out? Who did Joker lose to? What the heck? Where's Novak Djokovic's name on here? Anyway, not sure if there was I wasn't following early on in the tournament because, I don't know, just tennis majors is the type of thing where all the favorites seem to advance in the first couple rounds. But he clearly was the number one seed in the tournament. Not sure if he suffered an injury at some point in time and had to withdraw, or what the deal was with the number one ranked male tennis player in the world, Novak Djokovic. But he ended up not even advancing to the fourth round, past the fourth round it looks like here, or to the fourth round I should say. In the quarterfinals we had Roger Federer winning, Raonic winning, Andy Murray winning, and Berdych winning. And then in the semifinals, Raonic beat Federer. He won the first set, then Federer won the next two, and then Raonic came back and won the final two in an epic match. Andy Murray won his over Berdych in straight sets, all 6-3. And then Murray beat Raonic in straight sets, 6-4, 7-6 with the 7-3 score, and 7-6 with the 7-2 score on those tiebreakers. So straight sets, but still competitive, fairly close tennis. Congratulations to Andy Murray on another major tennis tournament championship. The men's doubles champion were number one seeded P. Herbert and N. Mahat. They defeated J. Benetau and E. Roger Vasselin. Wow, your last name is Roger Vasselin? That's fantastic. All right. Then on the women's side, had things play out a little more to form. In the semifinals, Serena Williams had an extremely easy draw against an unranked opponent. She won easily. Before that, in the quarters, she had the 21st ranked woman as well. Venus won in the quarterfinals, advancing to the semifinals as the 8th seed. So we could have had a Venus versus Serena Wimbledon championship. But alas, Venus fell short in her semifinal match, losing in straight sets 6-4, 6-4 to Kerber. So it was Kerber, the 4 seed, versus Serena Williams in the finals, and Serena won in straight sets 7-5, 6-3. That, I believe, is her 22nd Grand Slam title, tying her, I want to say, with Steffi Graf for the second most all-time in women's history. You cannot understate the accomplishment and level of impressiveness that Serena Williams' career has been. It's just absolutely remarkable. And then to top it all off, her and her sister were in the women's doubles tournament, and for some reason they were unranked. Hingis and Mirza and Mirza was the number one ranked team. They lost in the quarterfinals. And the Williams sisters ended up beating 5-seeded Babos and Shvedova 6-3, 6-4 to win the women's double championship. So double championships for Serena this week and one for Venus. Either way, you had to be a Williams sister to walk away with a female championship, women's championship from this past weekend's Wimbledon tournament. Congratulations to all of the winners. All right, that's it for tennis talk for right now. A little basketball note that I forgot to throw in with the basketball news. Draymond Green, douchebag extraordinaire from the Golden State Warriors, infamous for his repetitive nut punching and nut kicking, was arrested this past weekend for assault. Just further proving our theory that dude's a giant douche. So more on what he gets punished for that as it develops in future shows. And now I say to you that we go from tennis to the world of golf. It is PGA Major Tournament time. Yet again, we have our third major of the year starting this week on Thursday, running through Sunday. It is the British Open, or simply the Open, as many call it. It is the longest standing of the majors. It's like the most epic, longest running golf tournament of all time. It's always over somewhere in the United Kingdom. It's extremely difficult conditions. They have tons of crazy wind that they deal with over there, as well as rain. So weather is always a factor. It's because of that, it's a tournament that tends to have not very low scores. You'll see people win a tournament over par, with a score over par for the entire tournament. That happens quite often. But as a result, you see in this of the majors, you see a lot more of the foreign players win this than the American players, because they're used to the course layout as well. It's always links style type of courses usually, and that's just not the layout of your typical North American course at all. So it is a little bit different of a game, of a style, of a strategy, of different ways to minimize mistakes, or hitting great shots but still having it not end up great at all because the wind came off the ocean, screwed you, or whatever. So if you're looking to pick, who we like in the Open, we like foreign guys, whether they're from the UK or whether they're from South Africa or New Zealand or wherever. We don't like Americans' chances very much at the British Open. That's not to say that one won't win it. It happens. But they definitely shouldn't be your favorites. You should be looking at more of the world players who are used to these courses and used to these conditions. So here's who I all like going into the tournament. My favorite is Rory McIlroy. He's playing good this year. He's got 8 top 10s this year, but most of that happens over on the European Tour, over in Europe. Well, that's where the freaking tournament's being held. So he's playing good golf, and he's in, his comfort zone. So honestly, if you're looking for a big name, Rory should be your favorite. Right behind him in a very close second should be Jason Day. Again, another worldly player who this is, he's not unfamiliar to these conditions. He can literally do everything extremely well. He's a big long ball hitter. He's got great save game and putting and just you name it. But I definitely think Rory's got a better chance than him. Honestly, I like Jason Day in every tournament because that's how good he is. But he's not one of my favorites to win the tournament. I like Rory a lot. I like Adam Scott's chances a lot. Despite his always coming up short for me here in the majors this year, he's having a great season with 5 top 10 finishes, scoring well every week, winning some tournaments here and there. A player who's won majors before, who's had success on courses all over the world. Like Adam Scott quite a bit this week. In addition to Rory McIlroy, and Jason Day, somewhat, but not quite as much as usual. Now, some of my lesser-known names that I like, and again, they're all kind of got that world golfer theme in common. I like Henrik Stenson a lot. I like Justin Rose a little bit. I like Oosthuizen. Phil Mickelson, not so much. Westwood Kamer, not so much. Matsuyama, he's always